Welcome to the C2B's Meetup game. I don't know how much more action we can possibly get than this. Shout out to all these lovely vloggers. Links will be in the description below. You guys have a nice day. Shots up. My first shot in 3 years. I don't drink. Do we have like a countdown or something? Three, two, one. Happy New Year. Poker. Oh,
Let's take some money.
welcome back to the vlog. My name is Kieran, and today we've got 4 tables running at our meetup game. 4 tables here at the Lucky Lady Casino. They put us up in a private room. It's going crazy. Splash pots, bomb pots. We got a lot of friends of the vlog here and some other lovely poker players. Shout out to everyone that's come through. Should be a fun episode. We've already lost a lot of money, which is a good thing. I just want to go ahead and thank everyone from the bottom of my heart for the unbelievable support on my last video, eclipsing 15,000 views and over 500 likes. That is an unbelievable feat that I'm very gracious and thankful for from the bottom of my heart. Quickly want to mention for you guys, if you haven't noticed already, we are doing a WSOP huge free roll package giveaway. If you want some more information on that, click the link in the description below. If you guys will do me a huge favor and click thumbs up on this video, it costs you a grand total of $0, but it makes this video able to continue to grow beyond my beliefs and your beliefs. So if you guys can do that for me, it'd be awesome. Anyways, let's hop into today's awesome video. So as you guys can see, we're currently at the meetup game. We have a couple of really interesting hands to go over and a couple things to note. This is a 1-2 game, but with no cap. It's a huge game, stacks ranging from $100 to $5,000. So 5 tables, ton of fun, a lot of action, first hand in. I look down at Jack 10 offsuit in early position. I decide this is fine to open. We're playing 7-handed at this point. Next to act decides to raise it up and 3-bet me to $35. We go ahead and make the call. The flop is 10-8 deuce rainbow. I go ahead and check to continue to play in flow, and the opponent to my left decides to bet $20 here. Considering I think this is a catch-all bet sizing, a pretty open bet sizing, not much to do here besides just make the call. The turn comes a 7. We go ahead and check, and our opponent makes a bet for $50. Again, I don't think it's time for me to go. I think it's a decent time to just make the call. The river comes a queen of hearts. I go ahead and check once again for the 3rd time, and my opponent decides to bet a whopping $110. Besides the straight that came on the turn, which is going to be Jack 9, not a great deal changes. It is a little annoying at this point, considering now hands like Ace Queen can actually bet this river for value sometimes. So I'm kind of in the fence, and the only hands that are logical, I think, that can maybe go for 3 streets of value that 3-bet me from early position are queens, kings, and aces, I think, especially for my early position opening raise and then next to act deciding to 3-bet. So with that being in mind, there's a couple of bluffs, I think, in this range that can somehow come up here. But in reality, I think this is just a station call. Not a great call looking back at it. So I make the call, and he shows pocket 8s. So 3-betting me for an early position with pocket 8s flopping a set, taking this to value town is unfortunate. Interesting that he had pocket 8s in his 3-betting range pre-flop. So unfortunately, we lose that one. This next hand, we are playing with a lovely friend of the vlog. Shout out to Isaac, great young player. I'm in the hijack here. I look down at 9-7 of diamonds. Go ahead and open it to $15. Gets to Isaac on the button, who decides to 3-bet here to $50. Folds back to me. I think it's adequate that we make the call. The flop comes ace 6-5 rainbow. I continue to play in flow and check. He decides to down bet to $35. And with our backdoor flush draw as well as our gutter ball, the implied odds are there. I decide to make the call. The turn comes a pretty gin card, one of the best in the deck, I think. It is a 10 of diamonds. We pick up a ton of more equity. This is definitely going to be a hand that I want to be taking over the betting lead with. In a lot of cases, our opponent doesn't have to just have an ace here when he's c-betting that flop, especially for the sizing. When he down bets, he can bet his entire range. So I want to put a little bit of pressure against him. I decide to bet $115. And after a little bit of thinking, he decides to make the call. The river comes an offsuit jack, so we don't get there by any stretch of the imagination. And after a little bit of thinking, I just can't find a ton of hands that I can get to fold. I know I'm getting here with pretty much the bottom of my range, but I think I've been over bluffing in a ton of spots here on these rivers, so I check it out and decide to make a pretty wimpy check. Unfortunately, our opponent decides to check back actually and shows king jack of diamonds, so gets that pair of jacks on the river, but there's no way he would have called the river bet. So unfortunate there that we can pull the trigger, but big props to Isaac for pulling the move on us pre-flop. So currently we have gone through 2 tables, and this is our 3rd table of the night, and the gamble is on. I'm in the triple straddle. The big blind decides to limp for $20. The first straddle decides to call the limp, and the second straddle decides to also call the limp. It gets to me in the triple straddle, and we look down at ace king offsuit. This is a dream. We decide to isolate here for $105. The big blind, another great friend of the vlog, ton of them out here tonight. Otis decides to make it an all-in bet, deciding to go all in for $235, $234, somewhere in that range. It folds back to me, and there's no way we're gonna be folding here with half of that already out there. We make the call. He turns over pocket jacks or pocket tens, one of the two, but the principles being it is a race, and I'll let the clip play out here. We gotta make it look good. I call. It's a flip. And flip. Oh.
Let's hold.
33. Hold. Got it. Got it. Well, at least I have a hand for the vlog at the very least. So unfortunately we lose that one, but as you guys can see, that's kind of been the tail of the tape for the night. No problem here. If I'm going to lose, it is an honor and a privilege to lose to the lovely vlog watchers. So shout out to you guys. It folds all the way to me. I'm in the first straddle. There's 2 straddles out there in this hand. I look down to king deuce of clubs. I decide to raise it to $35. It gets over to the $10 double straddle. Another friend of the vlog and a poker vlogger himself, Think Blue Poker, he looks down at his hand and decides it's good enough to make the call. The flop comes 10, 10, deuce, rainbow. I think I'm gonna be betting most of my range on this board here, so we wanna go to a more conservative catch-all bet sizing. I go ahead and bet $30. And after a little bit of thinking, blue decides to make the call. The turn comes a 4 of spades, bringing in that backdoor spade draw. I definitely want to start denying some equity in this hand, just for the floats that would be there on the flop. So I want to bet a little bit on the larger side. I bet $115, and Think Blue Poker decides to make the call. The river comes an offsuit 7, so the backdoor flush that was there breaks out. I want to go a little bit polar here on the river. Anytime I can polarize myself and bet huge, I'm going to take advantage of that, especially with how the table looks at me. But not only that, I definitely want to be getting hands like 9s, 8s to fold. And believe it or not, sometimes the ace highs are going to make the call here on this river. So kind of a weird bluff, like a 90% bluff, but then a little bit of a merge bet on this river. I do have bottom pair, but luckily I do have like the second nut kicker. So with all that being said, I bet $400, pretty huge bet on the river. And after a ton of tanking from blue, he decides to make the call. Unfortunately for us, our hand is no good as he shows us queen 7 of spades. So floated us on the flop with queen high, a very courageous call on the flop for sure, but hits a great turn for him, a spade, and made an unbelievable river call. So props to blue for making just a flat out awesome call on the river. Early position decides to limp. It gets over to me in the big blind. I look down at king 6 offsuit. It's $2 more to go, and we have king high. You know what? Why not flick it in? $2 more, not going to kill me. And the straddle decides to check it through. The flop comes king 7-4 rainbow. We flop top pair here. We check it to the early position player who decides to bet $5. I go ahead and make the call, and the straddle decides to fold. The turn comes a 5, so now we pick up an open ender here. Pretty decent card, to be fair. And with all that being said, I think it's time for me to take over the betting lead. I bet $15, and the early position player decides to make the call. The river comes a pretty interesting card. It gives me 2 pair, being a 6 on the river. After a little bit of thinking, I want to get a little bit of thin value here on this river. I can't be scared of the couple of combinations of straights here that get on the river. I am double blocking turn straights, so I want to go for some value here. I go ahead and bet $50, and after a bit of tanking, the early position player decides to make the call. When he thinks that long, we're going to be winning this hand, and that is true. That does hold true. We go ahead and rake this pot in, so climbing back out of the hole slowly. Session update, meetup game's going well. We're not getting any hands, though. We're just mostly giving away money at this point, which is great. I wish you guys were here to see it. Either way, looks like we're going to keep playing for a little longer. Should be a good time. Yeah, nonetheless, we'll see you guys in a bit. Yeah.
This next hand is pretty crazy, and I really enjoyed the gentleman that came out to come through the vlog. So bless your soul, brother. Absolute pleasure playing with you, but crazy hand to go over here. And it gets over to the small blind, who decides his hand is good enough to flick in $3 more. It gets over to the big blind. He decides to limp as well. Gets over to me with Jack 5 offsuit in the straddle. Not going to be isolating this terrible hand, so I go ahead and check it through. The flop comes an absolute miracle flop. I mean, I couldn't have asked God for a better flop. The flop comes Jack 5-4 offsuit. It checks it over to me. We got to build the pot somehow, so we go ahead and bet $5, and both players decide to make the call. Here in the video, you can actually hear me saying that I'm going to bomb the turn no matter what comes out, so I'm just trying to be a little bit funny and push the action, try to get a little bit of my opponents maybe off guard. In reality, I think I'm just trying to have a good time. The turn comes a 9 of clubs, and to my surprise, the big blind decides to lead out for $15, and I am a man of my word, so I am going to be raising this pot up like I promised. I'm making $100 to go. Folds back over to the big blind, who pretty quickly decides to jam his hand in. With 2 pair and this junk cards, it's unfortunate that we have to get so much money in the middle, but for $230 total, only $130 more for me. I'm going to have to make the call here. The river comes a brick, and our opponent lets us know that he has 2 pair. I say I have Jack 5, and unfortunately for him, he shows us Jack 4, so I'm happy we can finally turn this pretty crappy session around slowly. In the last hand of the night, I want to mention a pretty fun hand that occurred. Middle position, small blind, limp. Gets over to the big blind. He decides to isolate for $11. I'm in the straddle with 10-5 of hearts with the suited hand, and for $6 or $7 more, there's no way I'm going to make the fold, so I go ahead and make the call. The other 2 players decide to follow suit. The flop comes ace, king, deuce with 2 hearts. The big blind player decides to continue the story, betting $15. I go ahead and make the call, and everybody else folds. The turn comes at 10 of clubs. He decides to bet $25. He is not stopping the betting whatsoever, but after turning a pair and still having a flush draw, there's no way I can make the fold here. I go ahead and make the call. Praying for a safe, beautiful, attractive river, and it does come as we'd hoped. It comes the beautiful queen of hearts, so we make our flush, and we're in the early position. Player decides to check to me. Being fairly aware of his range pre-flop, he's got to have a premium, especially when he goes 2 barrels here. There's just no way he doesn't have at least 2 pair or better here. So after a little bit of thinking, I think it's time to put in the patent pending Kieran overbet. I bet $220, and it gets back over to him. He tanks for quite a bit of time and decides to make the call. Unfortunate for him, we're going to be taking this hand down. He does show ace of hearts, jack of diamonds, so he did river that nut straight, but unluckily for him, I did have the flush here in this situation. So pretty happy to take another hand down. These overpots bets are helping me and killing me, so live by the sword, die by the sword. That is just how the cookie crumbles.
Just want to go ahead and thank everyone that came out to watch the game and play in the game. It was a wonderful time. I don't know what I was in for. I know what I was out for. We lost quite a bit of money, but most of it honestly was for giving back in the bomb pots, so or the splash pots. I was doing 25 per dealer change. There's 4 tables running for 5 hours, so that caught up to me pretty quickly. Nonetheless, love you all dearly. We'll see you guys in the next vlog. We gotta start recuperating our bankroll again because we're getting fucking smoked. So I'll see you guys in the next one. Deuces.
1, 2, 3. Happy birthday to